DJ Event Planner will change the way you manage and run your business. Streamline all of your procedures and software into one easy-to-manage system. DJ Event Planner, the ultimate online planning tool.
Hey, it is. There it is. We're back. Look, it's DJNTV. Hi, I'm Bill Herman, and thanks again for jumping into our presenter spotlights. Presenter spotlight is all about those men and women that are going to be speaking on the DJNTV show stage in Las Vegas coming up on February 24th, 25th, and 26th in Las Vegas at the South Point Hotel in conjunction with Photo Booth Expo. A lot of you have gotten tickets already. Some of you are thinking about getting tickets right now. I get that, and you're worried about whether or not you can afford it. I'm telling you right now, there are some unbelievable deals to Las Vegas for airfare and hotel. So if you are on the fence, make this be the make that be one of the things that pops you off the fence. On top of the fact that we've got tons and tons of speakers, more speakers at this year's DJNTV conference than he's going to have in the next few. Because we just really wanted to just throw everybody at you and find all of the best and do something really amazing for this first year. And one of those people is here tonight with us, and he's an old friend of mine. Even though he doesn't live, he doesn't live in my backyard. He does live even farther north than me in the frozen tundra up near Duluth, Minnesota. This is Dean Carlson. Hey, Dean.
Hey, Bill. Nice to talk to you tonight. And yeah, it is frozen up here. It's cold.
Yeah, no, I know. And people, watch my videos when I go walking and stuff. And although, it's always the people from California, Australia, Florida going, geez, it looks cold.
Imagine that with hills. And then you have Duluth. That's it.
Right,
exactly.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Right there on Lake Superior. Did you grow up there, Dean? Where are you from?
I did not grow up in Duluth. I grew up in the Twin Cities, actually. I was born and raised in Minneapolis. I was the last baby born in the state of Minnesota in 1965.
What?
Believe it or not. Oh, yeah.
Is that true? Come on.
That is very true. 2 minutes to minute. It's an amazing story. My dad wanted to name me Dudley Do-Right. I'm not joking.
Dudley Do-Right.
Dudley Do-Right. Remember him and Nell? Yeah.
I do. Oh, Nell.
And then closer it got to midnight, my dad and grandma decided to go have a drink. And that's when my mom had me. And she was like, no, we are not naming him Dudley. So we named it. She goes, who's her mom's favorite artist of all time? Dean Martin. So she named me after Dean Martin.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is it Dean Martin Carlson or Dean Dudley?
No, Dean Curtis John, Orland Paul John Carlson. Yeah, she also has a sick sense of humor.
Wait. Do that
Serious. Again? I swear.
Bring it on.
Dean Curtis John, Orland Paul John Carlson. Yeah. That's crazy.
That sounds like the most Catholic name I've ever heard in my life.
I'm telling you, it so is. That's crazy.
Okay, so you're a kid. You're the last one born in 1965.
Yeah.
That's a cool story. I like that. Did your mom win anything for being that close to being the New Year's baby?
She got rid of my dad for a few hours, so she won there, I guess. I don't know. A tax break for 1965, I guess, just barely under the wire there.
So you're a family of a bunch of kids?
No, my dad was married once previously, so I have two stepbrothers, and then I have a sister that's a year younger than me.
Okay.
Also, so yeah, not a real big family, but kind of a big family. Yeah.
So as you were growing up, going to school, was entertainment or music something that you gravitated towards?
Music came into my life when I was about 6 years old. My mom and dad, they used to own a boat on the St. Croix River, which is the borders Wisconsin and Minnesota. And there was this restaurant in a place called Prescott, Wisconsin, called the Steamboat Inn. And they had a
place. Oh my gosh.
They had a piano bar there. And I can still remember the guy's name. His name was Dave. And Dave played the piano bar, and he was there for years and years and years and years and years. And he would let us come in and sing. And my song was Tie a Yellow Ribbon Around the Old Oak Tree by Tony Orlando and Dawn.
Wow.
And my sister would sing Candyman, Candyman Can.
Right.
We do it every Sunday. And, my grandma saw how much I loved it, and she bought me a piano. And that was the start of my musical life.
So how long did you take piano lessons?
About 6 years.
So, wow. And then your mom wasn't able to get you to get past the, I don't want to do this anymore?
No, we moved around a lot, so it was really hard to kind of keep, that kind of stable
piano.
Yeah, it was. It was an old upright Stenrud grand piano, and it was hard to move and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But when I got to high school, I got into choir, and eventually I ended up getting a music scholarship to college for singing. Yeah.
Where did you go?
I went to Drury University in Springfield, Missouri. I wanted to get the heck as far away from here as possible.
And Missouri's as far as you could imagine.
Well, that was the only people that would give me a scholarship.
So that was for you singing to be a choir, or were you doing solo?
Choir, choir and solo.
Okay.
But I was going to be an architect major, and I had a music minor, so they were paying for half the college, and then the other part of my rotten life took over, and that ended that.
Well, what do you mean the other part of your rotten life?
Well, I don't know. Longtime readers may know that I have a history of drug and alcohol abuse myself, and that really started kicking its ugly head in college, for sure. When you roll out of,
were you ever able to graduate, or is that just something that kind of went the way the dodo bird?
No, I did not graduate. I did a year of college, and after my dad had wasted, I don't know, 25 grand, I was trying to appease him, so I joined the Navy.
Wow.
And because he was in the Navy, and I thought, well, I'll do the right thing there. And I thought that would be a way to straighten out my life. And it was a great experience. Didn't straighten out my life, though.
Were you on a ship? Did you?
I was. Yeah. I did 6 years in the Navy. I was a fire control technician. So I worked on missile radar systems, and I repaired and fixed them. For 2 of those years, I lived in Japan, just south of Tokyo, which was fantastic. I've been to 19 countries all over Asia. I've been just about everywhere over there.
You and I have a friend in common with his son in Japan right now in the Navy.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
We've talked about that.
Is he anywhere near what you remember?
He is not actually. His base is a little bit farther away.
Japan's kind of a big place.
You know what? You can fit 7 Japans in the state of Minnesota, so it's not as big as you would think it is. There's no doubt. But I was 70 kilometers away from Tokyo, in the busiest harbor of the entire world, and it's crazy how busy that harbor is. The amount of ships pulling in and out of there all the time, it's pretty nuts.
So while you're doing this, are you still thinking about your singing or music or entertainment?
No. I was did really well in the Navy, and they like to, promote you quickly and then get you into things that they like. And they suggested that I become a Navy recruiter. And they put me in Bismarck, North Dakota, the worst place in the entire universe as far as recruiting people for the Navy.
So
there's no water in North Dakota. Try to explain that when I got there was 200,000 people in North Dakota, and my goal was 1. I had to put 1 person in the Navy a month. Could not do it.
Oh my Lord.
And then my mom and dad got into some financial issues. My dad lost a business, and his best answer was to buy a bar and build a nightclub. And so I left the Navy to go back and help them because they were struggling a little bit. And I started off bartending there.
Where was the bar and nightclub?
Just north of St. Paul, about 55 miles, a place called North Branch, Minnesota.
Okay.
And it became, it literally became the most popular nightclub in central Minnesota.
What was it?
Eventually, yeah. It's called Barbara Jean's.
Oh my gosh, your dad owned Barbara Jean's?
My mom's
I'm the
name was
oldest
Barbara
human being
Jean's
on the planet.
Yeah, yeah,
No kidding.
yeah. And so I started off being a bartender, and I was watching the DJ up there. This is how I got started as a DJ. And I was infatuated with this guy. I always thought he was the king of the entire universe. We had 2 CD players. Oh, it was high tech. Oh my gosh. No turntables. We were in the whatever century at that point, DAT or something like that. But
I think I actually have a DAT player somewhere in my house.
I'm positive
I don't know.
of it.
So, do you remember the guy's name?
I don't remember his name. They didn't last long. So I don't know. I watched him for about 3 months, and I every time I was on break, I was back there with him, and I was just watching, fascinated. And I always loved music. I mean, from the get-go, I mean, I loved music. So that wasn't, the knowledge of music wasn't the issue. It was the technical skill to be able to DJ. And on a Thursday night, not a super busy night, but busy enough because ladies' night, the DJ called in sick. And I turned to my dad and I says, I think I can do this. And he goes, well, we're 55 miles from the cities where any other DJ is right now. So you got it. And
so the owner's kid goes up there and everybody's like, oh man.
Yeah. Yeah, that's probably very true. I got that a lot. Yeah. But I was like a duck in water. I mean, I hit it running, and within 3 months, I'd replaced all the other DJs up there. I had a knack for it. I had a unique personality, and I was willing to take chances with my DJ style that other DJs weren't willing to do, which really
what do you mean by chances? Were it different kinds of mixes, or were you doing mic stuff?
Yeah, different kinds of mixes and stuff like that. So, when you think of a nightclub in general, the first thing you're thinking of is, 128 beat. Everything's going to fade in and out from each other. Mixing is smooth and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I was not about that. I was a child of rock and roll. And I was like, okay, you know what? We're going to mix all different kinds of music into this place. Mm-hmm. And we did. I mean, it was from Metallica to, Megadeth we put in there. I mean, on the rock end of things, and then obviously all the pop stuff that was happening at the time. Mm-hmm. Overall, I mean, the 90s were an amazing period of time for music, I think, at least. One of my favorite, especially the early 90s, was really a lot of fun.
Was this the early or the mid? Or
early 90s? Yeah, 1989 was the year that I started. So I've been doing this for 30 years. Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
Well, you want to lay down a little bit?
Yeah, I think somebody get me a cardio thing. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
All right, so here you are working in a nightclub. Yeah. What got you out of the club and doing any mobile
drugs?
Really?
Yeah, really seriously. With that sort of fame, and it's weird, when you get to be really good at something, or you get to be really good at that niche of something, people flock to you, and that's what happened. And I was this nerdy kid in high school. I mean, I was this Dungeons and Dragons playing geek that sang in choir, and all of a sudden I became a DJ, and I was popular, and all the cool people wanted to hang with me, and I did that. And the next thing I know, there's
stuff at you when
the next thing I know, all the drugs I can do are free. All the alcohol, my mom and dad owned the dang bar, so that's free too. I had keys to the bar, so we had after parties that were insane. Even to this day, at a house about 4 blocks away, and it was really bad. And come the late 90s, early 2000s, I ended up doing methamphetamines, just the nastiest of drugs. Yeah. And I finally hit bottom. I mean, it was horrible. My family wasn't talking to me. The bar finally, my dad sold the bar and that closed. And I'd worked for some other DJ companies and stuff like that for a while in there, but I was unemployable, and I was not a good friend. And, I was living in an abandoned apartment, and I said, I'm better than this. And I reached out to get some help. I put myself in treatment, and 5 hours later, I literally applied for. Minnesota has this thing called a Rule 25, and I applied in the afternoon, and by the evening, I was in treatment.
So you just figured this out on your own. You didn't have somebody pushing you that way?
Well, a lot of my friends were like, Dean, seriously, I mean, look at you. You're not who you were. And I went in.
This is not an uncommon story, especially in the DJ world around the United States and all over. I mean, it's a horrifying story, but I have not, this isn't the first time I've heard this story. And I think that it's important to talk about. I think it's brave of you to put it out there, because there are people dealing with this kind of stuff now, much less when you were dealing with it. So when you got into treatment, you got sober.
Yep.
Came out and had to start over again. What'd you do?
That was December of 2003. They said, Dean, you need to go to a halfway house and do 3 months more. We suggest Duluth, Minnesota.
Okay.
So this is how I ended up in Duluth. So I said, at that point I was pliable, and I said, okay, yeah, you're right. I need to do something, and I'll do that. And then I got up here and things were starting to roll for me again. I'd been clean for about 2 months, and I had about a month left of the treatment center before I had to leave, and I needed to get a job. And I thought my DJ life was over, to be quite honest, because I couldn't see putting myself back into nightclubs again. I mean, but it was all I knew.
That's where it all was, right? Exactly. That's what you learned, and that's where the bad is too, and the good.
For 14 years, that's all I knew. That's all I did, and I didn't know what other skills I had. And I was cruising through a paper, and there was a company, a large DJ company in Duluth, hiring, looking for an office manager. And I said, well, okay. I had actually worked for a large DJ company in the Twin Cities. I don't want to drop the name, but it was a horrible experience. And I swore to myself I would never be a mobile DJ ever again. And I went in this office, but I was different then. My mind was different. I needed to work. I went in there. I gushed my guts out. I mean, in fact, the person, Barb Alley, who works for me today, was the office person, one of the office people working for Tom at that time. She told Tom, do not hire this guy. This guy is crazy, man. I walked in and puked my guts out. I was like, oh, I just got off meth and blah, 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 blah. But you know what? I was authentic, and I was real. Okay. And that's actually something I'm going to talk about in my seminar, by the way, being real and being authentic. And, you know what, Tom, it took about 2 weeks. Tom hired me and gave me a shot. And, when somebody gives you a shot and you're in that situation, you make the best of it. And I did.
Tom's an extraordinary guy.
His life right now.
You came across him when you did.
Yeah. You know what? I'm lucky to have met Tom, and he gave me a shot, and he taught me a lot about the mobile DJ industry and things that I should be looking to do and things that I shouldn't be looking to do. And that was a company. We had 25 to 30 DJs at any given time. I became the manager of that company. I hired all the DJs eventually. I trained them all. I fired a few of them overall, and that was the catalyst for kicking me off into where I am right this second.
I was going to say, when did you? How long were you there before you decided you wanted to do your own thing? And was that a difficult thing to do?
I wanted to do my own thing long before I left.
A
lot of people, including you, were telling me, "Hey, Dean, you're good enough. You need to get out on your own and do this yourself." And I believed that, but I also had this. I owed Tom. I felt to some degree. He gave me a break, right? So I stuck it out with him until my mom got really ill, and I had to move back to the cities for a couple of years. And that was actually the perfect point for me to start my own company. I was leaving that company. I had all the basis I need. And when you own a mobile DJ company, whether you're 100 miles north of where you were, that's where you are. I had, venues knew me by that point really, really well. People were willing to recommend me. I started off, and that first year was, I probably did 12 shows, not a ton, but I survived.
Well, it's an extraordinary too to have a relationship with an owner of a large company that will not only won't have a problem with it, but I think he even encouraged you and helped you, didn't he?
He did. Once, at the beginning, he didn't really want me to leave because I had done. Yeah. We took his company and we tripled his business. I mean, seriously, there were things that I learned and implemented into his company that he wasn't willing to do at all. Another thing I'm going to talk about at the seminar is about hiring the right people to do the things you don't want to do. Right. And he hired me to do things that he didn't like to do. Right. And so, he didn't want to lose that, of course, but also in the other side of it, I think that Tom knew that I was ready, and he tried to sell me the company, and I just financially, it wasn't a thing that was going to work out for me. And to this day, it was a better choice for me to start my own company. Absolutely. And build my own brand overall. So, right.
And then when did that happen again?
That happened at 2009. I left right at the end of 2009. So my mom,
and that's just been smooth sailing ever since. Right?
Yeah, I'd love to say that's true. It hasn't been bad, honestly. I have had very good luck. I have amazing friends, and I have amazing support group. Okay. People, and not to toot your own horn, Bill, but you're one of my support group. I mean, from very early on, you were always encouraging me. Hey, Dean, you're good enough to do your own company. Dean, yes, you're doing this. Dean, you should be looking at this. Those were great words of advice overall. And I built this network. So when I was still at Pro Sound, I started going to trade shows. And this is why people need to go to these things. If you're watching tonight, this is the number one reason you need to go. Build a support group of people that are like-minded, that want you to be your best, and these are the people that are in my corner, people like Jim Sharon, people like Mark Farrell, and, I could go on and on and on and on and on about the people that I know and have become friends with from all over the country. And it all started with just me saying, hey, Vegas, wow, there's a DJ conference. There's a group of people that get together and talk about this. Really?
And it's Vegas, baby.
I remember the first time I heard about this, and I was shocked. I was like 1,000, well, maybe 900 DJs the first conference I went to in Vegas. I was like, wow, I couldn't believe there was that many. And
I had the same experience when I went to my first one. Yeah.
You know what, though? Today, I think it's a shame. Honestly, I can't believe that's all. That's the God honest truth. I can't believe that people aren't willing to spend that little bit of an investment into their future. And you know what? Yes, some of the material might be some stuff you've heard before, but overall, there's something you're going to gain out of there, whether it's these friendships or these, the support group that I just talked about, or any number of different things that can happen when you put yourself out there. And then the second thing, when you do those things, by the way, be willing to step out of your comfort zone. So I got to Vegas. This, if you don't mind, let me just tell this real small story.
Bring it on.
Okay, this is a good story. So I got to Vegas, and I was like,
30
okay,
seconds, go.
Okay, I'm going to meet all these people.
I'm so kidding. I'm kidding.
I'm going to meet all these people. I got to get in with this group. This was before I really learned about how to be authentic. I wanted, I saw, like, the first conference I went to, I saw Mark Farrell, and I said, I want to speak as good as that guy. Right? I want to be him, right? That's what I said. Okay. What I didn't realize is I wanted to be not Mark Farrell. I wanted to be authentic like Mark Farrell. I just wanted to be, real about it. There's a whole difference. And when your performance gets to that way, you step up in a different category, by the way. Anyway, so I go to Vegas, and I'm trying to find things to do. And, I put myself out there. I was like meeting people. I was handing out cards, and I was, whatever. And I heard about this thing called a mastermind group. And I just thought, well, that's me, mastermind. I want to go to this. Where is this? So somebody told me directions, and it was in a hotel room in the back. Oh, that first year, where were we at? The Stardust, maybe that year? Maybe. I think it was at the Stardust that year, the first year that I went. And obviously not there anymore. But I walked in this room, and Peter Miracle from Chicago.
Yep, Peter.
I was running these DJ mastermind groups. He did it for several years, and they were fantastic. So maybe 20 DJs would get together. We'd put out some topics and we'd mastermind these topics. We just talk about it. Well, that's where I met Jim Sharon. You know, that first day I walked into this room and Jim was in this room. And if you've never met Jim,
he's a tree, first of all.
Yeah, he's super tall. But the thing that you can learn instantly from Jim is that when you were talking to Jim, he is talking to you and there's nothing else going on.
Yep.
It is, you are the entire moment with him. And that was another valuable lesson. But you know what? That friendship grew and he encouraged me. And it was this amazing thing. From that moment on, things really started to take off as far as, you know, the ideas and stuff. And then John asked me to speak at a conference probably in 2006 was my first speaking engagement. I'm going to say that. Yeah. And I spoke at, you know what? John asked me to speak about what we just talked about, my drug past. I went on stage and I told people about who I was, authentic.
So you pretty much went up and did an AA share.
I did. Yeah. It scared the living daylights out of me.
Yeah. But to talk about jumping out of your comfort zone in front of your peers, for goodness sakes. It was very powerful what you did.
You know, it was. And, you know, I'm thinking, John wants me to speak at a conference. Oh, cool. I'm going to talk about DJ stuff. John comes up to you and says, no, I want you to talk about this. And I was like, what? And then
about something real, about something that's about
right.
you, something that's authentically who you are and what you've learned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's absolutely.
Really when you want to be powerful, that's what you do.
Yeah. And then that was, I think, when me and you first, we hit it off before that, but you came up to me with some advice that day. And I actually share this advice with people a lot now. And I was so nervous. And you put your hand on my shoulder and you looked out in the crowd and there's, I don't know, 100 DJs out there, 150 DJs, whatever it was. And you said, Dean, you said, look out in that crowd. There's not one person that's here to see you fail. Not one. And from that moment, I was good to go. You know, I can't even count how many best men I've told that to when they're doing their speeches. Same story. Where I share, hey, nobody's here to see you fail, man. They're here, you know, for this couple, or they're here for you. And you know, it was a great experience. It really was. And would I do it again? Of course, yeah, naturally.
And you are doing it again. Looks like you're going to be Monday at the conference. What's your topic going to be? I know, but why don't you tell us?
Well, I chose the topic "Climbing Out of the Crowd" as the name of the seminar this year. And so what I really want to share about is, so over all these years of DJing, I've learned a lot of different things. And probably the most powerful thing that I've learned is be you, you know. And building that brand. What is that brand? So a few years ago, I made the jump and I switched. Every DJ out there, and not every DJ, but a lot of DJs out there, and they start off their company and they fashion it just like everybody else. You know, oh, what is that guy doing? Well, what is this girl doing over here? What's this? You know, oh, they're doing packages. Oh, okay, so I need packages, right? So, and what does the book says? 3 to 4 packages. That's what they tell you to do, you know. I need names for those packages. Well, how about pizza names like Supreme, you know, Ultimate, or, you know, Gold, Platinum, whatever. And so I did that, and, you know, I hated it. So I started hiring some other staff, and, you know, those other staff aren't the same people as me, you know. And I was having a hard time selling you know, DJ B in the same package as I was selling for myself.
Right.
So I made this choice to stop selling packages. And it was the best dang thing I ever did in my life. I started selling talent, you know. And some people might think that that's difficult to do. And it took a little bit of time to get the hang of how to talk to people about that. But talent.
First you got to wrap your own brain
Right.
around what that actually means.
Well, okay. So the truth be told, so how do we set benchmarks as a DJ? How do you set your benchmark as a company? So let's say price, for instance. Okay. That is just a benchmark is all it is, and people in the industry are telling us all the time, oh, you need to raise your price, or you need to be at this price, or you need to do that. You did a thing where you were walking the other day where somebody was asking you about, how do you get this price? And you hit it so on the head. It isn't about price at all. It's about this right here. When you're hiring me, you're hiring me, all right? There's value to that, all right?
Well, that's the entire value.
It is. It isn't the lights, the twinkly things that are behind you. Those are
can rent that stuff.
That's right.
Can rent that stuff.
That's right.
They got a Spotify.
Yeah.
Honestly, I hate to say it, but when you got a Spotify, that's how they think of us anyway. So they can rent a bunch of speakers and get a bunch of lights. They can plug in their Spotify, and they think that that's just as good as any other DJ we can get.
Yeah.
So if that's the truth, if that's what they think, then that's the truth, right? So now what are you going to do?
Right. Yeah. So I got out of that thinking, and I got into, hey, you're selling me. And the toughest part of that whole equation was actually convincing Barb of this. Barb is my salesperson. She's really what makes my company go around. Overall, she's an amazing woman.
Yeah, no, I've been trying to steal her from you for how long now?
Yeah, well, she's fantastic, and in about 3 years ago, the switch flipped. All of a sudden, she realized, you know what, you are worth what you're wanting to get. Whatever that price is. And I started charging it. And the reality is that, some people are going to say no. That's okay. All right. This is what I am. This is the talent that you're going to get if you hire me. This is our team. They're part of that, but I'm going to be the one that's with you all along. And if you want that, well, then you hire me.
Yeah.
All right. And there's a difference when you hire, Lee. She's my youngest DJ now. So Lee's been DJing for 12 years. She doesn't go to as many conferences as I do. She doesn't do as much training as I do. I don't charge as much for her. It's just that simple. She's still part of the same team, the Night Magic team. But it's a different story. So I do have different prices. It just works out that it has to do with talent. And, in no way do clients ever look down at Lee any different than me, especially when you describe it to them in such a way. A lot of people will use the movie star example. What does Meryl Streep get? She's worth this much per movie because she's that good. What do you get when you get a B-rate movie? She'll act. Yeah, she'll do good.
She's reading the same lines, right? They're using words.
Yeah,
and they're emoting. They have costumes and makeup. Come on.
Exactly. But it's not the same.
Yeah.
So,
well, and if this is a teaser of some of the things that you're going to be talking about, I think that you're going to have a lot of people very excited to come and see you. Dean is a very smart guy. He is truly authentic and will spend a lot of time really leaning into this so that you can walk away with something that day. And I also know Dean well enough to know that he's not going to jump in a limo and go off and not be spoken to afterwards. He comes to these conferences to give back the thing that he got when he went to conferences, which is, hey man, come on over. Let's talk. Let's get to know each other. And trust me, I, like him, I go to these conferences mostly still to this day because of the people I'm going to meet, because of that feeling I got the first time I went to a conference of this brotherhood of people that are excited and positive and about what they do with a like-minded job. And that's every dollar's worth spent well. Now, if I get there and I also have great speakers like Dean Carlson, it's going to make it even better. Now, remember, Dean's going to be on Monday. I don't know exactly the time, but just go. You'll get the schedule when you get there, or you can look it up on DJNTV.com. Check into the DJ show. If you want tickets, go to djntv.com/tickets. If you would like to use a code to get the best price on those tickets, the code is DJNTV Show 2020. Use that code and you'll get the best price available to come and see it. Plus, it is in coordination with the Photo Booth Expo, which is just enormous. And if you ever thought about maybe getting into photo boothing, this is the place that you're going to go to find out what it is, for goodness sakes. I mean, it is just crazy, the kind of things that people are doing. And if you want to look at that kind of stuff, that'll be there as well. The South Park Hotel, February 24, 25, 26, and 27. I'll be there emceeing. Dean will be there on Monday, and it's going to be an extraordinary day. We still have more presenter spotlights coming up for you next week. Checking in and keep being a part of DJNTV. And until next time, peace, man.